Christine, and this is a slow it down yin practice to help manage anxiety. So, for today's yoga practice, you will need 2 blocks and a blanket or towel. I'm going to put those to the side for now. And I'll actually have you start lying on your back. So, why don't we come and lie down on the back? You're going to have your knees bent with the feet open as wide as a siki mat and the knees falling in towards one another. And we'll place the hands, one on the chest and one on the belly. Close your eyes and start by observing the breath. Being an observer of the breath means that we don't necessarily have to change anything. We just want to notice how it is at this moment. Notice where in your body you're feeling your breath. Is it more under the right hand or more under the left hand? Is it in the front of the body, the back of the body, or even to the sides of the body? Is there sensation at the nose, the throat? Notice the depth of your breath, the pace of your breath. And we'll begin to stretch the breaths. Even the breaths out by inhaling for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 4. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 4, 3, 2, 1. X, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll stretch the exhale. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 4, 3, 2, 1. X, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And a little longer now. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue at your own pace. Your counting may need to be faster or slower, but do try to maintain an exhale that is about twice as long as your inhale. Lengthening out the exhale like this helps to calm our nervous system. Be sure that we are exhaling completely, cycling out the breath. For the breath is not simply an intake of oxygen, but also an exhaling of CO2. And for many of us, there is a buildup of CO2 in the system, which means that even if we were to breathe deeply, the body is not capable of taking in the oxygen. Give yourself a couple more of these long exhales to purge the CO2 and make room for the oxygen. The end of your next exhale, take a deep breath in and sigh. Bring your knees into your chest. Hold onto your knees and gently rock side to side. Open your arms out to the sides, and then just let your knees roll over to the left. You can turn your gaze to the right. To make this a little less intense on your back, on your spine, you can move the knees a bit away from you. Try to keep your right shoulder down. Turn your gaze to the right. You can use your hand, your left hand, to maybe guide your knees down. For a deeper twist, if that's what feels sweet in your body, the knees come in a little closer. Try to maintain throughout the practice an awareness of the length of your exhale. Inhale the knees back to center. And exhale, bring your knees over to the right side. Set it up. You might want to shimmy your shoulders to get both shoulder blades on the ground. Extend the left arm, turn the gaze to the left. And inhale back to center. And hold the back of your legs, just roll yourself on up. And come onto your hands and your knees. Couple of cat-cows. Inhale, lift your head, lift your tailbone, roll your shoulders back. And exhale, round the spine by pushing the ground away, tucking the tailbone and pulling the belly in. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. 2 more like that. And coming to neutral. For our first yin posture, we're going to need our blocks to help support us. And take those blocks with you up towards the top of the yoga mat. And we'll come into a lunge position. So take your right foot up between those blocks, and the back knee is resting down. You may find, because this back knee is going to stay on the ground, that you'd like to put some padding underneath it. So that's where one of many uses of this little extra towel or blanket might come in handy. So propping yourself up on the blocks here, Let's take a moment to let that front knee bend a little more deeply than we might in a more active practice, and even let the hips sink down towards the mat and up the length of the mat. If your knee starts to bend beyond your toes, then walk your foot forward a bit. It's okay to have your knee over your toes, but if it's beyond it, then we just need to create a bit more space. So just make sure your knee is over the ankle or over the toes as you sink in. Keep the shoulders rolling back, and you may start to feel that you've got sensation here in the front of the left hip. And we have lots of options for exploring the level of intensity that we're looking for in this posture. If you lower the height of the blocks or remove them, this will actually lessen the intensity in your stretch. To go deeper, we lift higher or even place the hands on the front knee, encouraging the knee forward as we lean the chest back. So for today's practice, as we are using the body as a framework to help us manage stress and anxiety, we are looking to explore where the edge is so that we can play with some discomfort. And that edge is both physical and psychological. If creating sensations in your body brings up a sense of anxiety, then that is beyond your edge. If creating sensations in your body helps you to explore sensation, to feel something, and to breathe through it, then that's what we're here for. So in all of our postures today, I invite you to explore where that edge is, and depending on where you're coming from today, how exactly you're landing on your mat, you may need to dial it back to be extra gentle and careful with yourself. Because ultimately, to ease our nervous system, we do need to demonstrate that there is safety in what we are doing. So use your breath as you find your edge. The edge physically looks like where we have sensation, and yet we can breathe through it. If it doesn't have your full attention, if you're planning what you're going to do after today's practice, then it doesn't have your attention, you're not at your edge. If it's hard to breathe or it's bringing up anxiety, then you're beyond your edge. Wherever you are right now, give yourself 3 more of those big exhales. Good. Wherever you are, you can move your blocks out of the way. Bring your hands down if they're not already there. And we're just going to push the hips back to lessen the intensity in the hips. And then we can take the right leg back and come into just an easy downward dog. Don't worry about your form too much here. This is just so that we can reset a bit. So pedal out your heels. Maybe you want to lift a leg and shake it. And you want to roll out your shoulders a few times. Just let the sensations dissolve. And we're ready to do the other side. So your right knee will come down onto your padding if that's what you need for comfort. And your left foot will come up. And we'll use those blocks to help us find a healthy edge. Point the back toes, let the hips move down and even up the length of your mat as your front knee bends more deeply. Maybe even out over the toes, but not beyond. If so, the foot scooches up a little bit further along the mat. Remember, lower tends to help us lessen the intensity. Higher increases the intensity. We're in these postures today for about 3 minutes each, which can feel like a long time when it's intense. And I'm specifically presenting us with slightly more intense yin postures today, as we're using the framework of sensation in the body to practice the art of being okay with discomfort. Because ultimately, anxiety tends to start with something in our mind, a worry of some kind, a situation that preoccupies us. And then it starts to become something physical, even potentially going as far as leading to panic attacks. And once it becomes something physical, sometimes we even forget what was going on in the mind that brought us there to begin with. So, anxiety tends to be a very physical experience. And yet, we know that when we resist something, it persists. So, let us practice together being with a place of discomfort, being with something that is not necessarily very comfortable, that is, in fact, perhaps initially alarming, like something we need to get away from. And just exploring the possibility of what if we were to let it be, let it evolve. So watch your body, stay with your edge. Your edge can change. You might feel like you can go deeper. You might feel like you got to come out a little bit, but stay with the shape. Stay with it, even if you need to play with where your edge is. Use your breath, especially that exhale. Remember, it calms your nervous system, gives our body the signal that we're safe. 3 more exhales out of your mouth. If you're up high a bit, come down with the hands. Then begin to push your hips back, releasing the stretch on the hips. Take that left leg back. Come into a little downward dog. Pedal out the heels and start to shake it out and bring some circulation and mobility back, even feeling that sensations are now beginning to dissolve. You can come back down into your knees, and we will prepare now for another fun posture. Fun's a relative term, isn't it? So you'll take your blanket or your towel, whatever you have, and we're just going to make sure that it's long, okay? And we'll place it actually beside the yoga mat. You're going to go sideways, okay? So I'm going to come over here beside my mat. And what I'm going to do is bunch up this towel that I have so that I can put my knees on the edges of it, and there's lots of extra fabric between my knees. Okay. And come onto my hands and slowly, all right, this one can be intense. As I said, we're doing some more intense postures. So we want to go in gradually so that we are encouraging the body to understand the safety of what we're doing. If we do too quickly, the body will want to protect. And of course, if we go too quickly, we could harm ourselves. We don't want to injure ourselves. So just a little bit at a time, we're going to take the knees and slide them out. Okay. So this is going to be an inner thigh stretch. And as we explore going a little farther and a little farther and a little farther, we'll start to find, okay, yeah, we've got an inner thigh stretch. The ankles are essentially behind the knees here. My toes are out to the side. And maybe I can go a little further. And you'll see where you end up. And you may need to stay up on your hands, or you might find that you can come onto your elbows. The knees and the hips are more or less in line, so you're not kind of forward here and you're also not sinking back towards the back with the hips. You're sort of creating this square-like shape in the hips and the pelvis. Oh, and we breathe. Oh, how we breathe. Anxiety tends to come from a place of worry. Sometimes it's rational. Sometimes we're worried about real things. And sometimes it comes from irrational places. We're worried about things that are actually unlikely to occur or have no imminent threat of occurring. Whatever the case may be, the anxiety itself, once it comes up, can be debilitating. I know that that's the experience for myself. Once I start to come into a place of anxiety, it almost doesn't matter what I'm worrying about anymore. Now I gotta manage the anxiety. The anxiety's got the hold on me now. And ultimately, it just requires us to breathe, to slow down, and to know that nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent, whether it be a feeling in the body or a situation or a threat. Everything that rises, everything that occurs, everything that happens, or that threatens to happen, eventually will get processed and moved on and will be onto something else. And when we sort of recognize that impermanence of things, that everything that rises eventually falls again, it sort of starts to seem irrational and silly of us to hold on too tightly to any one thing, right? This is a nice intense pose, don't you find? Give yourself a few good breaths. Right out of the mouth. Good. If you're on your elbows, you can come back up onto your hands. First, just bring your toes in. Oh, a little closer together. Good. Now you can start to bring your knees in a little closer, sliding them in. Sit back on the heels. It's a good one. Even the sensations in the body rise and then they fall. While we are in the posture, there is intensity, and then the posture is over and the sensation begins to dissolve. But even while we're in it, if you're paying close attention, you may notice that the intensity has a certain wave structure to it, that it rises and then it falls and then it rises again. So we kind of oscillate between feeling like, okay, this isn't so bad, I can do this, and I can't do this, I gotta get out. And then, okay, it's not so bad. And then I gotta get out. Right? So it's this interesting pulsation. And if we pay close attention even to our feelings of anxiety, of the stressful moments of our lives, even if we're having a stressful period of our life, we probably have within it easier days and more difficult days, easier hours and more difficult hours. Good. You can come back onto your mat. Move your towel or blanket to the side and keep with you a block. And come into Gomukhasana. So let's start with the right leg on the bottom and the left leg on top. And what we're doing is we're crossing the legs so tightly that one knee is essentially trying to stack on the other, right? We have two options I'm going to present you with today if this shape is not possible or if it puts you into a place of sensation that's already beyond your edge. One thing to do is to take that block of yours and sit up on it. So if we lift the hips a little bit, it can give us a little bit more space to get this crossing in the legs, and it may take some strain out of the knees. If even this is not really working for you today, you can come to lie down on your back, same shape with the legs, left leg crossing over the right, and then you can slide your hands down those legs and start to bring them in towards you. So I'll let you choose which variation of this posture is going to make sense for you today. And to find our edge with this, we may discover we're at it and we stay. This is enough sensation for me to learn a little something. Maybe I can watch the wave of sensation coming and rising and falling right here. Maybe I don't need to go anywhere to experience that. If you do want more, if it feels like your body needs a little bit more to find that edge, you simply sit more forward, starting to drape yourself over your legs. Make sure you keep your hips down on your block or on the floor. If you're lying on your back, it's all about how much you bring your legs in towards you, and even open the feet out a bit to the sides. And you'll see as you bring the knees in and open the feet out to the sides that will bring you to different sensations as well. And the hips tend to be full of emotion. It's the house of our second chakra, our emotional identity. And so much can come up in this space. Any range of emotions may arise here. I've seen people in tears in hip stretches. I've seen people bursting into laughter in hip stretches. Anything goes. We breathe. Long exhalations. Let's do 5 more breaths and see how long you can stretch out 5 breaths. Can you make this last 10 minutes? Okay, maybe that's a bit much, but stretch it out as much as you can. Like there's no rush. Watch the rising and falling of sensation. Watch the rising and falling of breath. Slowly, without any rush in the world, we start to ease off of our edge. Being extra kind, uncross the legs. You can support yourself on your hands, open the feet wide, super slow to start. Oh, rock the knees side to side. What does anxiety feel like for you? I know that for me, it tends to feel like an uncomfortable type of fluttering inside, a heat that rises in the chest. It's like anything but being grounded. I have a hard time thinking straight. And any little thing can push me over the edge, whether that edge be losing my patience or that edge be bursting into tears. Good. We'll do the other side now. Left leg on the bottom, right leg on top. Either putting a prop under your hips or choosing to lie on your back for this. Take a couple of breaths just sitting right here And let your body get the idea this is where we're going. And when you feel ready, maybe beginning to explore the edge wherever you're going to find it. How do we manage our anxiety? I think first it comes with acceptance that it's there, it exists, it's real. We may need to identify the triggers and the sources of that stress or anxiety and address those directly. Sometimes it's that tangible. Other times we've just got a pattern that's persisting, and everything's getting us anxious. Then it comes down to stress management, self-care, finding your grounding practices that can keep you from that fluttery, anything but grounded feeling and bring you back down to earth. Get into your body, get into your breath. Eat good food. Have good sleep hygiene. And try not to get caught up in other people's drama. Five more of those extended exhales. Get that last one right out of your mouth. Back off the edge. Take your time. Uncross the legs. And super gentle to start. Just a little tick-tock side to side. And we've got one more posture. And we'll need both of our blocks. So we'll come into a supported fish pose. One block goes under the head, and the other block goes under the shoulder blades. So I'd like to just point out that when working with blocks, we do have three heights to the block. We've got the lowest height, a midpoint height, and a very tall height. The block that goes underneath your shoulder blades can be, for many people, fairly comfortable at the mid height. For some people, it needs to stay at the lower height. especially if this is where you carry a lot of your anxiety. If you feel it in the space of the heart, trying to crack open that heart forcefully can be far too much. So we may need to lower that height. We don't go here with that one, okay? The thoracic spine just won't support that. So the head, however, may be easily supported at a block of equal height, right? So if you're here, you might be fine with the head on also a low block. If you're here under the chest, you might be okay with that. You may find that you need this block actually to be higher than the other block. So it's possible you'll go all the way up to there. Okay, so now let me show you where you're going to place these. This first one is what you're going to place first. It's going to go underneath the tips of your shoulder blades. When you have your arms up overhead and you're trying to place your block, your shoulder blades have slid up your back. When you come to lie down on it, your shoulder blades are going to slide back down onto your back, okay? Another idea is to approximately where that's going to end up. For us ladies, that would be around the bra line. And for you gents, that would be around the bra line. Right? Everyone knows where the bra line is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and position myself to get that first block. See, right now it's on my rib cage, but oh, as I come down, there we go. My shoulder blades just slid onto it. The tips of my shoulder blades, not too high, right? And now I'm going to need this other one here to catch my head, right? So here we are. Arms come out to the sides, palms are open. Remember, you can lower this block under your chest. You can heighten this block under your head. If it's too much for your neck to like flip back like that, you see what's going to work for you here. The arms by the sides is also a bit optional because this could put a lot of pulling on the front of the shoulders and the pectoris minor especially. So if you've got a shoulder injury or this is just like ridiculous intense, interlace your fingers, place your hands on your belly. You'll still get the lift in the heart without putting some strain on the front of the shoulder. And then a final option here to create comfort in this posture is if this is too much for your lower back, bend your knees, let them knock in towards one another, and that should hopefully create some more support for your lower back. If you've come to today's practice with anxiety that you're carrying, this can feel really vulnerable. Feel free to lower the heights of the blocks or even not even use blocks at all. Maybe you want to use that towel under the space of the heart to create an extra gentle lift for the heart. As I mentioned at the beginning of our practice, our edge isn't just a physical one. Our edge is sometimes an emotional one. And we do want to play with the edge, but in a safe way, in a way that feels like it's helping us, not in a way that feels like we're just perpetuating more of the same. Well, the first way to help us manage these feelings is to accept that they exist. If it's too much, it's too much. Accept that and adjust, adapt. If there is pain, accept that, adjust, and adapt. If it is uncomfortable, accept that and stay with it. For we don't grow in the comfortable places. We grow in the discomfort. Feel the breath now again in the front of the body. In the back of the body. In the sides of the body. Take 5 more deep and long breaths. Take your arms up overhead, stretch them out behind you. Get a nice big stretch here. Feel how open the heart is. Interlace your fingers and just pick up the back of your head, nice and gentle here. So protecting your neck. As you lift the head up, you might get a nice little stretch there in the neck. And then keeping the head lifted, just sit up enough to get the blocks out of the way now. And we're going to come back to lying on the back. Come into Shavasana and feel now the echo effect of those blocks underneath the upper body. Place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. And without changing anything, observe the movement of your breath. Bring your knees up into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze, a warm embrace. And roll over onto your side so that you may gently and slowly press yourself back up to sitting comfortably. Place your hands together at the space of your heart. May this practice help you to come back down to ground level and slow it down. Come back to baseline. And may it serve as a reminder that even in our moments of intensity, that baseline is available. It's always here. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Have yourself a beautiful rest of your day. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.